See, the very nature of feminine energy is subtle, deep, and mysterious. A woman carries within her not just life, but the ability to nurture, transform, and elevate. But in today's noisy world, everyone wants to speak everything, share everything, expose everything. This is not wisdom. This is restlessness. There are certain things a woman must always hold sacred, things that should not be spoken, not even to a man she loves. Why? Because what is sacred must remain untouched by casual words. Once you speak it, you reduce it. Once you explain it, you dilute it. A woman must never give her emotional blueprint to a man. She must not hand over the key to her mind, her past, or her deep insecurities. Not because she should hide, but because these are not for analysis. They are for her own inner work. The mystery is not deception, it is protection. A flower does not open its petals to every breeze. It waits for the right sun, the right season. If a woman makes her inner world too available, she will lose the essence that makes her magnetic. The more she reveals, the more she becomes predictable. Predictability may be comfortable, but it is not attractive. Not in a spiritual sense, not even in a worldly sense. So what must you keep private? Your past relationships, your deepest fears, your emotional dependencies, your longings that are not yet fully understood, your comparison with other women, your family's dysfunction, your spiritual experiences, and especially your power, until it's fully ripened. Because when a woman is truly powerful, she doesn't speak of it, she simply radiates it. In this world of constant expression, where everyone is typing, talking, uploading, exposing, people have forgotten the value of holding something within. Especially for a woman, this is crucial. Not everything that is felt needs to be spoken. Not every emotion requires a stage. Not every thought must be put into words. There is a strength in silence that the loud will never understand. When you speak something out, you are giving it a form, you are fixing it in the world. But many things inside you are still forming. They are not ready for exposure, they are sacred processes. And the moment you share them too early, you invite interference, you allow opinions, judgments, energy entanglements. What could have been a beautiful unfolding becomes a drama. It is like opening the womb before the child is ready to be born. A woman must recognize that her thoughts, emotions, and experiences are not just data to be shared. They are energy. When you speak, you are transmitting. And when you transmit too freely, you deplete. Not everyone has the ears to hear the truth of who you are. Not everyone has the eyes to see your depth. And if you give your depth to someone who is not ready, it will not be valued, it will be mishandled. You are not hiding, you are honoring. What is not shared is not lost, it is distilled. It gains power. It becomes something luminous inside you. The problem is people confuse transparency with trust. But real trust doesn't mean saying everything, it means knowing what not to say. It is discretion. It is knowing the right moment, the right space, and the right person, if ever, to open a part of your inner world. To hold something private is not a weakness. It is an ancient wisdom. It is how mystics lived. It is how queens carried themselves. You must learn to recognize the value of keeping certain parts of you. Emotion is not just a reaction, it is a form of energy. In the yogic science, we call this bhava. The emotional energy is not a flaw, it is a gift. But like any powerful force, it must be handled with care, with reverence. If you treat your emotions casually, the world will too. If you make your feelings available to anyone and everyone, you weaken the sanctity of your inner space. What you feel is not meant for public display. It is not content. It is not entertainment. It is sacred movement within you, your heart adjusting, your being responding, your soul navigating life. And when you expose this movement to someone who has not earned the right to witness it, you turn something sacred into something consumable. This is how you lose your depth. Slowly over time, one careless sharing at a time, a man may ask, "Tell me everything, tell me what you feel," but he is asking from a place of curiosity or even affection, not from a place of capacity. It is not his fault. He may not know what it means to hold space for something delicate and powerful at once. But you must know, because once you allow someone to casually enter your emotional world, you give them the ability to shape it, influence it, even disturb it. You do not have to suppress what you feel, but you must learn to contain it. A contained emotion is not repressed, it is refined. It is alive but not leaking. You may express, but do not collapse. You may open but not surrender the whole temple. Your emotions are sacred fire, warmth, light, beauty, but only if you tend to it like a priestess, not throw it around like confetti. This is not about secrecy, it's about sovereignty. Your emotions are yours, not to be denied, but also not to be traded for validation. When you learn to hold your emotions within a sacred space, you will find that you don't need to be understood by everyone, you just need to be in alignment with yourself. See, there is something deeply attractive about what is not fully known. The mind is endlessly curious, but the spirit is drawn to depth, and depth is not loud, it is quiet. When a woman becomes too available, too explainable, too open in ways that strip her mystery, she may gain attention, but she will lose magnetism. Mystery is not a strategy. It is a natural consequence of inner stillness. When you do not feel the need to announce every move, every thought, every detail of your life, you naturally become intriguing, not because you are hiding, but because you are centered, because you are not trying to prove anything. You are simply being, and in this being, something about you remains unfixed, ungraspable. That's mystery. You see, in today's world, people confuse intimacy with exposure. They think closeness means laying everything bare. But true intimacy doesn't come from telling everything, it comes from a silent trust that doesn't need words. It comes from presence, not performance. A woman who retains some of her mystery becomes a journey, not a destination. Something to be explored slowly, not consumed quickly. When a man can predict every word you'll say, every reaction you'll have, every wound you'll reveal, he may stay for comfort, but the spark will fade. Not because he is shallow, but because life itself is drawn to what still holds layers, what still invites exploration. And you must understand this, not as a game, but as an energy principle. Mystery is not manipulation, it is preservation of essence. Look at the moon. Why is it so poetic, so captivating? Because we never see all of it at once. It reveals just enough to draw us in, never all at once, never completely. The moment you give everything emotionally, mentally, spiritually too early, you collapse the very magic that draws another to you. Let your present speak louder than your past. Let your energy answer questions you never explain. Let your mystery be not a mask but a natural fragrance of your stillness. Power is not always loud. True power doesn't need to announce itself. In fact, the more powerful something is, the more silent it becomes. The earth moves under your feet without noise. The sun burns with unimaginable force but doesn't shout. Likewise, a woman's deepest power lies not in how much she shows, but in how much she chooses to hold. In modern culture, everyone wants to be seen, validated, celebrated, but understand this: when you make everything visible, you also make everything vulnerable. The sacred cannot survive in constant exposure. If you take a seed and expose it to the sun before it has roots, it will die. Power must grow in the dark, protected, nourished, unseen. Privacy is not a weakness, it is the womb of power. The woman must learn to guard her internal evolution. When something beautiful is growing inside you, a realization, a dream, a shift in your being, do not rush to share it. Let it ripen, let it become real within you before it is spoken into the world. Because the moment you speak it, you release some of its energy. You open it to external influence, opinions, doubts, projections, and this can disturb its growth. Privacy doesn't mean secrecy. It means choosing what deserves your voice and what deserves your silence. Some things are not meant to be put on display, they are meant to become a part of your inner richness. When you preserve your inner world, you build an aura. You become a mystery not out of manipulation, but because your energy is intact, not scattered. Your thoughts are aligned, not outsourced. A woman who moves in silence is often the most powerful in the room, not because she is hiding, but because she is holding. She is in tune with her own rhythm. She doesn't need to impress or convince anyone. Her privacy becomes her clarity, her protection, her magnetism. She gives only what is ripe and only to those who can hold it. So, do not be in a rush to expose your journey. Let it become sacred within you first. Every human being is a universe of complexity, especially a woman. But there is a tendency, especially in relationships, for one to reveal too much too soon. We offer the blueprint of our emotions, our wounds, our desires, our fears. But the blueprint is not meant to be handed over casually. If you give someone the key to your entire being without understanding their readiness or capacity to handle it, you are giving them the power to shape you. The blueprint of your life, the essence of who you are, cannot be just handed out. It is not meant for anyone to rewrite. In fact, when you reveal everything, you risk losing the sacredness of your uniqueness. The more you explain yourself, the more you invite others to judge, interpret, and even mold you according to their perceptions. This is dangerous. When you give someone everything, you reduce yourself to an open book for others to read, but you lose the space for your own mystery and evolution. A woman's true strength lies in her ability to keep the core of her being sacred and to reveal only when she is ready, only when the moment calls for it. Think of it this way: a flower does not show its petals to every passerby. It waits for the right time, the right wind, the right sun. It knows when to open and when to hold back. This is not about hiding who you are, it is about not surrendering your essence before it has fully matured. If you offer your emotional blueprint too early, you give away your sovereignty. It's like handing someone the paintbrush to your life's canvas before it's even been sketched. Once you give someone the power to define your worth, your essence and your direction, you give up your autonomy. Instead, remain in your own integrity. Let your life be the artwork that unfolds naturally, not one that is dictated by the opinions or expectations of others. Allow your true self to emerge in its own time, its own season. Don't rush to explain every thought, every emotion. Not everyone is equipped to see the richness of who you are. Only share with those who have the capacity to understand, appreciate, and honor the complexity of your being. By holding back your blueprint, you preserve the sanctity of your existence. You remain an ongoing creation. Your evolution is not dictated by the world's perception of you, but by your own unfolding. Let your journey be yours to guide, not someone else's to define. Spirituality is not something to be boasted about. It is an intimate journey, one that takes you inward into dimensions of experience and awareness that are beyond words, beyond thoughts, and beyond what anyone else can understand. When a woman embarks on her spiritual path, it is not a path for social validation, it is a path for personal growth, for self-discovery, and ultimately for inner freedom. And this path must mature in silence. In the early stages of any spiritual experience, there is often a tendency to share, to speak about the shifts, the realizations, the peace that has started to grow. But understand this, spiritual experiences are delicate. They are like tender shoots of a plant, fragile and requiring protection. The moment you speak about them, you subject them to the interpretations and expectations of others, which can distort or even derail your personal growth. Your spiritual journey is yours alone. The insight, the moments of peace, the quiet revelations that you experience within yourself are not meant to be explained away. They are not meant to be measured against someone else's idea of what is spiritual. In fact, true spirituality thrives in the space of non-communication. It is not something to be spoken about. It is something to be lived. Many people, especially in today's world, wear their spiritual experiences like a badge. They talk about their practices, their awakenings, their transcendence, but in reality this only creates noise around something that should be sacred and quiet. When a woman speaks too soon about her spiritual experiences, she risks losing their purity. These are intimate, personal insights that grow in the stillness of her being, not in the attention of others. This is not to say that one should never share spiritual experiences, but there is a time for everything. There is a maturity that comes with spiritual insight. When your experience has ripened, when it has become a living presence within you, it will speak through your actions, your energy, your way of being, without needing words to explain it. And only then will it resonate with those who are ready to receive it. Until then, protect your spiritual experiences, allow them to become part of your essence, to transform you silently. Let them mold you in ways that do not need validation or approval. This is the depth of true spiritual practice, one that grows without fanfare, without the need for acknowledgement, but instead in the quiet spaces of your being. Discretion is the art of knowing what to share, when to share it, and with whom. It is a sign of wisdom, not fear. Often, women are taught to be open to share, to be vulnerable, and this is an essential aspect of connecting with others. But there is a subtle difference between being open and being indiscriminate. Discretion is not about hiding your truth, but about knowing how to guard it until it is ripe for sharing. There is no need to live in fear of judgment or rejection. The key here is not to hold back from a place of fear, but from a place of inner wisdom. You don't need to speak every thought, share every feeling, or reveal every part of your story to everyone you meet. Not because you are afraid of being misunderstood, but because you understand the power of your own energy. You recognize that not everyone has the ability to hold your truth with the respect and care it deserves. When you are discerning about what you share, you protect your energy. You preserve your mental and emotional space. This is not about secrecy, it is about protection. Imagine you are a delicate instrument. Would you let just anyone touch it? Of course not. You would reserve it for those who understand its value and know how to treat it with reverence. Similarly, your inner world deserves the same care. It is an instrument of transformation, of beauty, and it requires a steady hand. Fear arises when we believe we must please everyone, when we think we must explain ourselves constantly. But discretion is not about shutting yourself off from the world. It is about sharing wisely. It is about choosing when to speak and when to remain silent. It is about understanding that not every person you meet has the right to be let in. Not because they are not worthy, but because not everyone is equipped to understand the depths of your being. When you practice discretion, you begin to honor your own boundaries. You understand that some things are too precious to share in passing. They are part of the sacred fabric of your life, meant to be revealed only when they are ready, only when the right conditions are present. Discretion is a form of respect for yourself and for others. Do not confuse this with fear. Fear makes you retreat into hiding. Discretion empowers you to choose wisely, knowing that your story, your emotions, your vulnerabilities are not commodities to be traded, but treasures to be preserved. When you speak from a place of true discernment, your words will carry more weight. Your presence will become more profound because you will be speaking from a place of inner alignment, not from the need to be heard or validated. One of the most powerful aspects of a woman's presence is her ability to simply be. The more you try to explain, the more you dilute the impact of your energy. True power does not need to be justified. It does not need to be explained or defended. It is felt. It is radiated. The moment you try to explain your depth, you begin to reduce it to something the mind can process. But your essence is not for the mind to understand. It is for the heart to feel and experience. Think about the moon again. It does not announce its presence to the earth. It does not go around explaining its phases. It simply radiates. It simply is. And in that radiance, it calls forth the tides, the night sky, and the deepest parts of those who gaze upon it. Your energy is like that. You do not need to explain your strength, your beauty, or your power. When you simply are, it resonates in a way words never can. When a woman is aligned with her truth, when she has worked on her inner world and allowed it to mature in silence, there is an unmistakable radiance that emanates from her. You do not need to tell anyone that you are strong. You do not need to tell anyone that you are wise. You do not need to announce that you are deep or capable or powerful. It will be felt. When you are truly in your power, you do not need to explain it. It speaks for itself. Too often people feel the need to justify their actions, to explain their thoughts, to show why they are worthy. But when you operate from a place of true power, you know that your worth is not something that can be measured by others' opinions. It is intrinsic, it is felt in the quiet spaces, in the unspoken moments. A woman who radiates doesn't seek validation, she simply exists in her full truth, and that truth becomes undeniable. When you have this radiance, others will be drawn to you, not because you are seeking attention, but because your energy naturally attracts those who are in alignment with it. You will not need to chase love, success, or recognition. They will come to you as the flower attracts the bee, not by force, but by the natural pull of your presence. So, instead of explaining who you are, simply be. Let your actions speak, let your presence resonate. The most powerful statement you can make is the one that is felt, not spoken. And the more you align with this truth, the less you will need to say and the more your world will respond to you. In this world where everything is rushed, exposed and fleeting, remember this: true strength comes from within. The power a woman holds is not in what she speaks, but in what she chooses to remain silent about. It's not in the attention she seeks, but in the energy she radiates. It's in the way she moves through life with grace, mystery and discernment, protecting her sacred essence from the distractions of the world. You are not here to explain yourself, to justify your worth, or to seek validation. You are here to live with depth, to create with purpose and to evolve with grace. Your strength, your power, your beauty, they are not things that can be spoken into existence. They are things that must be felt, experienced and respected. So, carry yourself with the quiet confidence of the moon, the unseen force of the earth beneath your feet. Know that you do not need to reveal everything to prove who you are. Your presence will speak louder than any words. Your silence will carry more weight than any explanation. And in this, you will find that the world will begin to respond to you, not because you demand it, but because you are rooted in your truth, your mystery, and your power. Radiate. Do not explain. The world will see you, and in time it will bow to the essence that you hold.